Songs of Mother Goddess and the Father in the tree.
Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. Hello, hello. I hope everyone is having just a lovely Saturday evening in lockdown. Yes, Naysay High on Life is excellent. And yeah, it was last night was really awesome. I've had a few questions about Friday night's show and doing math and such. One of those questions is, how did I convince a bunch of people to tune in on YouTube and do math on a Friday night
In chat.
in chat? so, so yeah, it was a good time last night. What do you think? Did you learn anything there, Mr. Non Longbeard?
My retention is low nowadays, but yes, actually I did, and it was very enjoyable. It was good information. I mean, and it was fun learning. We had fun with it. But it's quite the serious thing, though. I mean, a lot of people, they put a lot of stock into numerology and things like that, and that's great. That's fine. I mean, I'm a little more interested in it myself, but I don't know if I like being a two or a super two.
Well, so I did the numbers for Minimi,
Mm-hmm.
and she is a 9 for her life path, 9 for her what was it?
Destiny.
Destiny, and then 1 for her
Holy,
heart's desire.
she gonna be the leader of the new world order.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Pretty much.
Wow, 991.
IXII. So, anyways,
IXIXI.
well, so we are being broadcast live, of course, tonight on this lovely Saturday. We're on Truth Frequency Radio, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live. If you are listening in on YouTube, make sure you hit that thumbs up and like and subscribe and all that stuff. And here, I'll make sure that y'all can see Mr. Don. Hey, Mr. Don.
Hey.
And no matter how you are hearing me, make sure you do stop in and say hello. And if you can't say hello, in a live chat situation, send me an email at wildepaisley@gmail.com. That's WILDEPAISLEY @gmail.com. And I do get emails. I haven't read any on the show yet. Mr. Longbeard says that I should try reading
Yeah,
them
every
on.
now and then. Yeah. You don't have to say so and so, because so and so is reading, listening to the show. They'll know it was from them, and so you
Yeah.
don't. I wouldn't suggest unless they say, yeah, you can.
Well, I've had some book recommendations, which is awesome.
Really?
And I've had a couple of guest recommendations, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I am working on trying to get a guest maybe for next weekend. Jaina, that Way Witch. Jenna. Sorry. Jenna. And
Not that way witch, the way witch.
the Way Witch. Well, yeah, okay. I've only had a cup of coffee this evening.
Congratulations.
I needed to wake up enough that I could actually go to sleep later.
Is there more up there?
It was the instant stuff, and I
Oh,
mixed it with
good
ice cream and
God.
berries.
Ugh.
I was like a raspberry
Ugh.
vanilla coffee. It was awesome.
Ugh.
But anyways, she's a local witch, and was on Paranormal Portal. One of
Yes.
was it a Thursday?
Thursday night, yeah.
Thursday night, 7 o'clock show.
Yep.
So yeah, it was good listening to her, and I like connecting and touching base with local witches, because there's so many of us are independents, even without being quarantined, and there's a lot of a lot of
That's what she said,
solo flying right now. Yeah. So yeah. Yep. Way witch Jenna on the show. Yep. Working on it, Ethan. So hopefully we'll do that. And if you want to support the show so I can do more things like that, have guests on, that kind of thing, please do so. You can go over to the patreon.com/thespacesbetween. Or you can go to Etsy. That's etsy.com/shop/Monarch Mountain Studio. That's MTN for mountain. And by the way, show notes from last night are on Patreon.
Wow. Oh, that's a good idea. That's a great idea. So if you missed the show and you need to take notes, you can head on over to Patreon. How much is that going to cost somebody to get?
Actually, it's $1 a month.
$1 a month, so that's not such a big deal.
Yeah, minimum subscription is $1 a month. You can go up from there, different levels, of course. And I do some other customizations and stuff. And I don't know, it's kind of fun. And if you have any recommendations for Patreon, I'm all ears. Wildepaisley@gmail.com. Send me the email. But yeah, it's I'm working with a local artist on getting some more stuff onto Etsy, and some of it will be available also into the Patreon specific. So
sure, yeah.
The gal that if for those of you who were watching the show earlier this year, late last year, with the bumblebee was in the background, so the local artist is the one who did the bumblebee and the horse.
And the horse.
Yep. So hey Dee, and so much Jake. So hello, and in chat I'm seeing Sophia the bot.
Yes.
She's always there.
Of course.
Bam Vlash, intrigued and mysterious, something like that. And then in YouTube world, if I can click on the right buttons, I see Aussie Bomber, Naysay, D, Deb, Elaine, Ethan, Pam, Lewis, so much, Jake, Titan, and Mr. Don. And if I missed you, it's because you haven't said hello lately.
It's because you missed the roll call.
Yeah. But you're all in there. So thank you for joining tonight. And yeah, math last night was fun. It was good. It was very good. And very impressed that y'all just kind of hung in there and did the math.
Jumped all over it.
And it was, it was interesting. And I sat down and was kind of doing my own thing. And earlier today, notebook, pen, paper, calculator. Wow. Yeah, that's kind of, some of it is very, very true. Some of it isn't as true as other parts. And I think part of it is you need to, if you're going to be doing numerology on a regular basis or doing readings for others, you need to learn all the different characteristics and traits. But some of it is very person specific, and you need to rely on your own internal intuition.
Well, now that brings up a quick question, because, we have the book, what is it, Tarot for One from Courtney Weber. And in there, it talks a lot about, reading for yourself. And there's been a lot of, no, you don't read your own tarot cards and blah, 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 blah. Is there any of that stigma with numerology, do you think, that you're not supposed to do your own numbers?
No.
No?
I don't think so. And here's the thing. I don't think there should be any stigma when it comes to doing your own reading or a reading on yourself, because, we all come into contact with significant decisions that we need to make.
Right.
Life-altering decisions sometimes. Sometimes we just want to make sure we're putting on the right pants for that day. So, it varies. But don't be afraid to ask your guides for guidance. I mean, that's kind of what they're there for, to give you that nudge without, face palming. So, yeah. And, it was good.
Unlike mine, according to Deb.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's some of that, I know.
Don't go blah, blah, blah.
No, it's not blah, blah, blah. It's blah, blah, blah. You got to do it right.
Whatever. Gremlin air.
Yeah. But, gremlin air. So, yeah, if you're reading, it's a good practice, doing tarot for yourself or runes for yourself.
Right.
Or numerology, any of that. So.
Right. Well, and I know one thing Courtney always says, though, is you have to divorce yourself, or you have to remove yourself. You have to remove your ego and be honest with yourself when you're doing that kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
because it's really important to not allow your
Your ego.
conscious conscious mind going, well, I'm going to look at it this way. Follow your gut, not your head,
Mm-hmm.
when you're doing stuff like that. So and be honest. That's the whole point, is be honest with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I think that's a lot of the problem with people. I'm touching my face, and welcome to my house. um and oh crap.
Your ego gets in the way. So if you're doing a reading for yourself, often it's hard to see your own truth, and or the world as it really applies to you, because our egos gets in the way. Ooh, Lou P Guru. That's a new name.
I think that's our friend Lou.
Oh, okay. Hey, Lou. And so, and I saw you, Elaine. So hello. But yeah, it's really hard to divorce your ego from your intuition, and so for when you're doing a reading for yourself, write down your question in your notebook, because you're journaling things, and then you do your reading, write it down, and then close the notebook, walk away, come back to it like 5 minutes later, read the question, and then read the answer to it. That way you kind of divorced your consciousness from your subconscious a little bit, because it's really, really easy to let your ego get in the way when you're doing readings for yourself.
Yes. I really wish I could remember what I was going on about. It was like, for some reason, it just went right out the window.
Yeah, is your that gray in your beard kind of holding you back?
Somebody said something about Dawn needs a dye job in Portal tonight. I'm like, no. No, I earned this.
Right? Same here. I've earned every single gray hair. Not that you can see any of them right now, because
they're blue
and green and purple and red. I've got kind of some variety going on here, and it's fun. Hey, I'm in lockdown. No one's going to see me out in public for who knows how long. So, yeah, why not have fun? Apparently, I'm not the only one with this thought process, because on my daily trip, or my weekly trip, I should say, into Walmart, there's no hair dye.
Yeah, that's not surprising.
Well, at least the temporary stuff, because that's kind of what this is the temporary, semi-permanent type stuff. Right. It'll wash out eventually.
Right.
Rather than grow out someday. And I think a lot of people are trying to, like, whoo, do I really want unicorn hair before I go to work?
Oh, gosh.
But no, it's just, I figured, why not? Have fun.
Sure.
I think I might have some extra blue if you want it in your beard.
No.
Or red.
Nope.
Yeah, Arctic blonde. Isn't that the same as silver?
Thank you, Bomber. Go to hell, Paisley.
Yeah, so yeah.
Yes, Pam, it would look funny, but anyhow.
So anyways, so the title for tonight's show is Curses, Foiled Again. Mostly because I wanted to talk about curses. A friend of mine asked me about a generational curse. If, what is it like, or how do you know if your family line has been cursed, or heritage curses? And I've talked about curses a little bit in the past, because curses and blessings are very closely related. Hey, Jody. And the reason why I feel curses and blessings are so closely related is because what may be seen as a blessing by person A may actually be a curse for person B, and vice versa. So you need to really sit back, count to 40 before you even think about doing a curse, and check your intuition at the door. Is this something that you really need to do, why do you feel compelled to do a curse to begin with? And so, a couple of different things I wanted to talk about, because, so I pulled up a couple articles. I'll try to make sure I put some of the links in the notes. If I don't, they may end up in the Patreon later. Actually, no, they probably will be, because curses is a big deal. And, the scariest witchcraft stories that anybody reads or we watch TV on or movies or anything like that often have to do with some aspect of truth. There's a kernel of truth in any of them. So, in reading, there's a story about a mother and her adult son who thought that their neighbor was a witch and was casting spells and curses and making them ill. And so for months they retaliated with curses and evil prayers, chanting death by fire, that kind of thing, in the middle of the night, and asking God, because they're Christians, to kill the witch. Oh, God. And they told the woman that lived there, her daughter, that her mother was evil, even. And the worst thing about all of this is it didn't happen, years ago or decades ago. It was in less than 5 years ago. It was about 2 years ago in London. So, and it's, it's recent history. People still worry about curses and such. And a lot of times the curse or the assumption that someone is cursing you has more to do with your own ego.
Yeah.
So ego is going to come up a little bit tonight. And so, that behavior to us, as we look at it with logic, is like, that's deranged behavior. Oh my gosh, are you nuts doing this kind of thing? How are you so paranoid? That as a Christian, is your God so non-protective of you that you have to be that panicky and such? But the beliefs around witchcraft in today's society are just varied. There's a very broad spectrum, and so curses, black magic, there's a lot of assumption. My sister doesn't know that I am a witch. She straight up asked me, and I kind of didn't answer her, mostly because she's one of those devout Christian types, and I just didn't want to deal with it.
The local one or the one that lives far away?
The one that lives further away.
Okay.
And it's, she's one of those that would be like, oh, I'll pray for you because you're going to go to hell. It's like, I'm not part of your religion, so why would I go to your version of hell? I just don't know. So anyways, there's that those beliefs are out there today. And, no matter who we are, it's a big deal. Breaking spells and curses is a lucrative practice. Because, ask Deb Varner, for instance, how many people come to her and ask for help or guidance, in trying to get rid of a curse.
Well, and I think Dee's had a couple things like that as well.
Yeah, and so for a lot of the paranormal people, they have to deal with, helping people get rid of curses. The haunted dolls, is that a cursed doll or is that a haunted doll? That kind of thing. Or the jinn that the guest on Paranormal Portal was talking about. Yeah. Is that a curse or is that, a spirit or entity, or is it a combination? Hey, chemtrail mix. So, there's just a lot of people out there talking about black magic. And that's the assumption from the common man, is that all witchcraft is black witchcraft. And me, I suppose I'm more gray, if you're going to put a color to witchcraft, which honestly, black and white is something that came about the time of the burning, just because white witches were safe and accepted, and black witches were not, which there's other connotations with the differentiating black and white magic, and racism. That's what I was going for, and then as the burning times proceeded and such, then all magic became bad, and all witches were black witches. There was no more white witches, and so it was just to me. Now this is my opinion, my show, my 2 cents. Is that it's just witchcraft. It's just magic. There's no black or white or gray. It is what it is, because you can curse someone with love, and you can bless someone with hate. It all depends on your wording and what your intention is, and what they feel is not necessarily what you feel. So in researching, found a funny article. We're going to start there because we might as well start with some humor after all that math of last night. I don't know
the math that people begged for.
I know, it was really funny. Y'all begged for the math. Why can't I get Mini-Me to beg for math? Actually, she will if there's chocolate involved. But I've started teaching her how to cook, so she's learning math. Yes, I need to do another 3-cent video. So, 15 signs of a curse. Are you really cursed, and how to break a curse? So this one, of course, a little tongue-in-cheek.
Hey, wait a minute. Let me digress just a little bit. Aren't 3-cent videos available on Patreon now?
The ones that are not published are getting to be put on Patreon, because I've made a few different 3-cent videos, and they just didn't get published because from the time that they were made to the time they would have been published, something changed in the world, and it just wasn't necessarily appropriate to publish them. And some of them are a little more political than others, so I don't always publish those either. So, because
but I mean, I'm talking about specifically Patreon.
Yeah, Patreon. So yes, there are some 3-cent videos that may not be on Patreon yet, but they will be shortly because they were not published into YouTube. So they are Patreon specific 3-cent videos. Just because they didn't make it to YouTube world. So
okay. Anyhow, back to the
Chicano Azteca. That's a new name too.
Yep.
So yes, truth seekers. So, anyways, 15 signs of a curse. So yeah, bad things happen to people all the time. Doesn't mean you're cursed. It just means that bad things happen. You tripped going up the stairs, and you broke your nose.
Oh Jesus! Wow.
Doesn't mean you're cursed. I've seen it happen. And it wasn't in my family. But it doesn't mean you're cursed. It just means you probably need more help going up the stairs, or shouldn't drink. Who knows? There's all sorts of different things. So, but occasionally we wonder why things happen that don't seem to happen for any real logical reason. And that is real. But generally speaking, curses are not as likely as people think. Just like in the 80s, if you watched a lot of TV, growing up, looking around now, you'd expect to see a lot more quicksand.
Yep.
So just because you're looking for the quicksand doesn't mean it's there. So just because you're looking for the curses doesn't mean they're there. So doesn't mean they're not. But generally speaking, they're unlikely, because there's a lot of energy that go into the creation of a curse. A lot of personal energy. Often as much energy goes into creating a curse as it does to heal someone or to help someone. And, as a practitioner, I personally have to weigh the advantages and disadvantages of, expending that energy, that headspace, those materials to create a curse. And it's just...
it's why rent real estate to something that has no end?
Right, exactly. And often curses fade, the energy fades then if the person who did the cursing dies, because that energy is tied to their life force often. Not always, but often. So we've got about a minute before the break, so I'm not going to actually get into the article until we come back, just because
It's an article.
it's an article. So yeah, do you have a thought? 30 seconds? Apparently not. Oh gosh. Yeah. Okay.
Instructions on how to do that can be found on Patreon.
Yeah, right. So, anyways, yeah, we'll pick up on curses when we come back from break. So be patient, and we shall see you in about 3 minutes. Bye.
Sisters of the shining moon, heaven, earth, and sea, I call upon you in this hour, bring magic unto me. Mothers, oh, the cauldron cries, it singeth unto me the songs of Mother Goddess and the Father in the tree.
Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between, because we can. And we're talking about curses tonight. Curses, I say. So Titan asked if someone casts a curse. Let me get back to the exact wording here because where is it? I lost it. Is there a chance that a curse might come back to the person that cast it? And the answer to that is yes. It kind of depends upon the person who it was targeting, because there are some ways that you can break a curse or send, or basically give it a return to sender. And yeah, when you do a return to sender on a curse, yes, it'll absolutely return to sender. So, and you just kind of keep in mind is what's going on. So, just before the break, I said, generally speaking, curses are highly unlikely because there's a lot of energy involved in casting a curse. And if you think you may have been cursed, stop and ask yourself, what have you done, or the people in your life done, or your ancestors or whatever, done to deserve someone's hatred and rage to the point where they would exert the effort and time to cast a curse? Because it takes a lot of energy, it takes some magic ability. Generally speaking, there is no accidental cursing. Ooh, good night, Deb. Sleep well. And yes, I understand about the, yep, get some rest. So, yeah, so either the person who's doing the cursing is able to, or has the skill set to do a curse.
Elvis Presley.
Yeah, right.
Return to sender.
Yep, okay. You're so weird. Yeah, I know. So yeah, either the person who is doing the cursing has enough skill to actually do this, or the resources, or they feel enough vested interest in doing the cursing or having the curse happen that they're going to pay someone else to do it. And stop and think about that just a little bit. What did you do that is causing that much angst and anger? Now, I'm not saying that spiteful people are not out there, because they are, and they're angry drivers. So it happens. So generally speaking, if hey Gemini, if you're being cursed, or if you've been the recipient of a curse, there's more than one symptom. So I'm going to go through a list here, and odds are good more than one of them are going to be true for you if you have actually been cursed. So, inexplicable illness and or injury. So yeah, that tripping and falling up the stairs. If suddenly you've gone from graceful and athletic to clumsy Clyde.
So from Grace Kelly to Sandra Bullock.
Yeah, okay. That could be a sign of a curse. However, before you jump to the curse notion, make sure that you don't actually have an illness. Because there are some pretty significant illnesses out there that can trigger something similar. A string of bad luck. Are you generally a lucky person and suddenly you've just nothing's going your way? Not just you didn't win the lottery, but for instance, my son, here about a year and a half ago, he straight up, he walks up to me, he goes, I need something because I think I've been cursed. It's like, well, why do you think you've been cursed? Well, at the time he was living in his car because of life choices. They happen. His car broke. His air mattress went flat. He had a flat tire. He got that tire fixed. He had another flat tire, and somewhere in that time frame, the donut went flat. Um, he lost his job, lost an opportunity for another job, lost one of his shoes, and his phone broke, just randomly broke, and his windshield wiper stopped working. He's like, "Ma, what's going on?" And so we did a anti-juju bag on him, and it seemed to have done the trick because he got a job the next week. And it's, you know, if you go through a string of really horrible luck, and I don't mean like you buy 20 scratch-off tickets and none of them are winners, I mean horrible luck, because it happens. Oh, and he was sleeping on an air mattress and that popped. I don't know if I said that or not, but yeah, it was just bizarre. So it happens occasionally. So maybe you're involved in a witch war. Now, generally speaking, my opinion of witch wars. Side note, squirrel moment, soapbox moment. I think witch wars are redonkulous. I think they're petty and just foolish.
Well, it's counter to everything that's.
Yeah.
It's just counter to everything.
Yeah. So basically, a witch war is when two different groups of pagans or witches are bumping heads. Maybe there's jealousy. Maybe there's anger. Maybe there's misunderstanding. Who knows? There's a lot of different things. But anyways, curses and such go back and forth in hexing, and it. Just don't go there, people. Seriously. So it could happen, but try not to, because there's a lot of energy there that could be spent doing something else, like baking cookies or something. I don't know. Witch wars are ridiculous. That's my real opinion. I'm not going to be a participant in a witch war. I will just walk up and punch you. I mean, that's about the energy that I'm willing to exert. I might beat you with a stick, maybe, because you may need a whipping. Literally, I've got a willow tree out here. I will get a switch. But generally speaking, no, I will just pop you in the nose. Maybe you're experiencing strange animal occurrences. Because some people may send a familiar to spy on you or bring bad luck to you. And maybe you're experiencing or seeing multiple dead animals around your home or on your doorstep, your driveway, that kind of thing. Maybe a skunk moved into your crawl space, that kind of, I'm not saying crows or ravens, although they're often harbingers of bad luck. So are owls. So, just pay attention, I guess. But if you have a dog dragging in dead things off the road, you probably are not cursed. You just have a dog that likes to wallow in dead things. Oh, God. And that's horrible, too. Broken glass. Do you find a lot of broken glass around your world? Do you clean up broken glass off your front step repeatedly and it keeps coming back? Maybe that's a hex. And often in some hoodoo traditions, cursed ingredients are put into a bottle or jar or something and then broken on your or are thrown at the front door or the doorstep, and then when the glass breaks, the hex is released and is then applied to the home or the resident or the residence. And besides, it kind of hurts to step on broken glass. And then maybe your guides are warning you of a curse. That could be. Signs might come in different forms. The repetitive numbers, random conversation symbols. Nature may come out and say it. TV. And, if you're worried about it, don't be afraid. Say, hey, guides, I really need you to be honest and upfront with me.
I need you to guide me.
Yeah. I have you on. You don't have you on.
So you
Yeah.
need your guides to guide you.
Exactly. Maybe you're experiencing significant negative thoughts. Perhaps you're generally a positive or optimistic person, but maybe you're suddenly feeling pretty doggone depressed or suicidal, and you're not dealing with a quarantine or the coronavirus. You may be dealing with it. It
Also,
could
that's
be.
one of those issues where you may want to go see a,
Yeah, because if
some
you
kind
have,
of a person who's trained in those things.
exactly. So if you've recently moved, like from the southwest to the northwest, and it is going into fall and winter, maybe you
Oh.
have seasonal affective disorder.
Yeah, you're sad.
So that could happen. Broken relationships. So sudden solid relationships, or if you have a long-term relationship that you've never had a problem with, and suddenly it just ends for some reason, it could be part of a curse or impacted by a curse. Random strange objects upon your property, like dolls, bottles, symbols of evil magic, that kind of thing, or negativity. Things that you might find strange. Maybe there's a haunted doll suddenly showing up in your yard. Could be a haunted doll.
Burned with fire.
Apparently, I have a box of dolls, and the eyeball popped out of one of them.
That's nice.
It needs to go away.
That's nice.
Or I'll feel compelled to put a plant in it and then really freak people out.
Why would you do something like that? Why?
That right there. That is why.
That's just sick, wrong, and disturbing. Did you see those pictures on Facebook the other day? One of our friends, Cha-Cha, posted these pictures of, like, doll heads that had, like, the top of the head cut out and like an aloe plant growing out of it, or a spider plant. And then one of them had, like 4 hands, like doll hands, from old dolls, the plastic hands. Then there were, like, 4 of them, and they were, like, feet on these bars, and then a doll head coming out of that. I'm like, why?
Some
Why?
people are.
Why would you do that?
Some people are weird. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And just think about it. If you were going up onto someone's property for whatever reason, and you saw a random planter sitting on the step made out of doll parts, would you stop a moment and be like,
Kill it with fire.
maybe I don't need to knock on that door? So yeah, no. So yeah, just not only is it a potentially you've been cursed, but it could just be a very macabre foo dog. I don't know.
Macabre foo dog.
Maybe you've missing things. Things like your keys go away, jewelry, hairbrush. Maybe you have a toddler. Maybe you've been cursed. It could be. Bad omens happen. Owl, blackbird. Often those, like I mentioned earlier, they're associated with curses, or bad omens, but often they're not. It could be a bird, any bird, flying into like a window and dying, or
Ooh, that would be bad, yeah.
there's the death watch beetle. I mean, that's kind of a random weird noise. If you've seen Practical Magic, the movie, you've heard the noise a death watch beetle makes. Anyways, bad weather over your house, and only your house. We've all felt it sometimes, but not necessarily. Maybe you just feel like you're being watched and observed. That crawling sensation on your between your shoulder blades, that someone is just watching you. I don't like that. And nightmares are recurring dreams. So sometimes nightmares, recurring dreams are a sign that you've been cursed. So if you are able to take control of your dreams, you can often, explore those just a bit and find out what's going on. Threatening letters or emails, that could be a curse, yes. Or you could have a stalker. Talk to your local law enforcement. Seriously. Don't take that stuff lightly.
Pam says, grow some grass out of one of the eye sockets.
A little green.
Little moss in there.
Yeah, some moss.
Take right off.
So
Terrarium. That's a terrarium idea.
a terrarium. Terrarium.
Terrarium.
Yeah, terrarium with a can.
Terrarium.
Yeah, terrarium.
Terrarium. God.
So.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know, right? So, the basics there. There are often signs that you may be cursed, and don't just take one sign. It's look at the broader picture.
Right.
And I have been kind of watching chat just a little bit, and somebody was saying they think they've got a lineage curse. That they can happen. They're not common, just because think about the number of people in your family. So for a lineage curse to happen and be focused upon your family, that's a lot of energy, and it has to be tied to something. There has to be a significant reason.
Well, as a matter of fact, and it's kind of funny that we talked about on the portal tonight. We've talked about jinn and what some of the things that can happen around them. And one of the things is like, if you have a jinn attached to you, and you piss it off, then one of the things that was mentioned one of the things that was talked about, was that it may be bound to you and it may not be able to do anything to you, but it could do something to your, your great grandchild because he doesn't know what's going on, or what are they called? The things in Harry Potter.
The Horcrux?
The Horcrux. Or it could be a piece of jewelry that has a bound jinn in it that's been passed down or given away, and it just got mad because it didn't want to be given to this person or that person and wanted to go here or there because it believes it has a choice in its bindings, and it creates not necessarily curses, but certainly bad stuff. So there was a lot of correlation between the portal tonight and some of what you're talking about today. So
yeah, because now you can tie a curse to a specific piece of jewelry that or an item, ring, necklace, that kind of thing, because that takes less energy than actually cursing a family line. And when I say it takes a lot of energy for that, it really takes a lot of energy for that.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it'd be like, if you tie it to something like that, it'd be a one-time thing. But I mean, to curse each individual directly down the line, and it affect the family of those individuals, that's a lot of time and effort, and that's so yeah, something that affects each and every individual down the line is pretty heavy stuff. So
now sometimes it may a curse could impact like the firstborn,
right,
or only the males, or only the women, or males or females in the family, or depending on your culture, you may be cursed to have only daughters, which would be bad in some of the Eastern religions,
bad in my
or Eastern cultures, or in some places being cursed with daughters is not a curse; it's a blessing. So, you need to kind of look at the full picture there. And so, Justin and Aussie, I would recommend either connecting with Dee, emailing me, wildepaisley@gmail.com, or connecting with Brent,
Deb,
or Deb, for some of that. Deb can give you some guidance as far as touching base with the guides. Apparently, Naysay needs an eyeball. So yeah, just I don't know. Just connect with us so we're getting something done there, my dear. So Lou says my sister said Christian pastors told her we could have a curse on our family stemming from Mormonism. Any thoughts on that? Mormonism is very secretive. Yes, it is definitely a cult. So I would get a second or third opinion on that one, in part because Christians and Mormons, they're the Abrahamic faith witch wars. Honestly, there's a lot of bad blood there, and there's converts going both directions. And if the Christian pastor had a bad experience with the Mormons in the community, maybe he would be bad mouthing the Mormons or the Mormon.
The ward.
Yeah, and the reason why I say that specifically like that is because, Christian pastors often are very human and have the same problems with other people that the rest of us do. They're just not supposed to. But any faith-based leader is going to have the same issues that everyday people have. And so make sure that, you're paying attention to the source when it comes to being told that you have, you're being cursed by or as a result of a different faith. Because there's a lot of judgment in a lot of those Abrahamic faiths. A lot of judgment.
Judge not, lest ye be judged.
Yeah, well, that happens a lot. So, so yeah, just, I don't know, some of those cults, they may put curses on someone. But again, it takes a lot of energy, and they would rather spend more energy or that energy in recruiting new people rather than,
Well, but that's like that. That's like when you open the show. You opened with that, story from the UK 5 years ago about the two neighbors warring back and forth, and one of them was Christian and asking God to kill the witch next door and things like that. So you can't.
The witch next door was. She wasn't really a witch. It doesn't really say in the article, but it was the Christian fundamentalists that were judging and basically being pretty angry,
right,
and such. So Justin, so yeah, you would know a little bit about judgment.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's something you have seen around the dining room table once or twice. That's funny. Elaine's funny. Jehovah's Witnesses that her cult is bigger than their cult with the Catholics. So yeah, I'm gonna. There's more information. I'm gonna stop because we're just about to break, and I don't want to get into it. So,
but there are a lot of people who, can be gotten a hold of. Deb Varner, D Swigger, she's in the chat right now.
Message me directly.
Sean, yeah.
Sean.
Our friend Sean Gonzalez, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they are people out there that are willing to help. So, talk to D, talk to Deb. Brent has a couple names that might help. So there you go.
Naysay would have some guidance too, probably, depending on where you're at. But Justin, you moved all the way across the country to get away from them. I totally understand. And yeah, it's hard when when you encounter a lot of judgmental people, because often you do feel that itchy feeling, between your shoulder blades. You feel like people are watching you. Um, it's and that negativity is there, and it breeds fear, and keep that in mind. When you wallow in that negativity, it's building more and more fear and anxiety within yourself, and so it's easier to see that everything's been cursed, or it feels like it's more apparent. So, with that happy, wonderful thought, we're going to go to break here in just a moment, and yeah, send me an email, and we'll get things figured out for you guys. So we'll be right back in about 3 minutes. have a feeling that our bumper music doesn't work at the top of the hour.
That's not surprising.
So, yeah. Ba-ba-da-da.
You're gonna restart your show.
Yeah, I'm restarted. It went.
So you're live. What are you
Yeah,
doing?
I am live. I'm responding to Aussie.
I
Okay, so you know what? I could walk, talk, and chew bubble gum at the same doggone time, but I cannot type and talk. I just really can't. It's just not
Aussie,
possible.
she got your email apparently.
I got it, and I was responding with "got it." So yeah,
Guess what? She got it.
I got it. I gotcha. So, anyways, oh goodness. So a couple questions about if you've been cursed, what do you do? Okay, well first, don't feed the fear. If you think you've been cursed, don't fear it, because that fear is an energy, and that energy can feed into a curse or it can draw it to you closer. So be aware of what kind of emotion you're putting out there. And just like in the rest of the world, be aware of what you're putting out, because if you're putting out negative energy, that's exactly what you're going to receive. So, if you think, you or your family may have been recipients of a curse, you can get past this. This is not your defining moment. This is not the whole or the entirety of who you are. So it just keep that in mind. If you've been cursed, cleanse your space. Get out the sage, burn it. Go from one corner of your house all the way to the last corner. Just make sure in that last corner you leave a window open, so that energy can leave. Sweep your floors, vacuum your floors, that kind of thing. Make sure you take that dirt out. Don't keep it in the house. Go ahead and put it in a garbage bag and take it out and throw it away. So it's done, gone. Get rid of it. Actually, just cleaning your house in general is a good way to get rid of that negative energy or that stuff that might be hanging on you. You can cleanse your space with holy water, whether it's moon water, sun water, or straight up.
How about tonic and water?
Different kind of religion there, Al-Anon.
Nice.
Wow. And sweetgrass, whatever it is that you're using to cleanse your space. Sage is actually very, very cleansing. So is sweetgrass, both of them. It's good. Have both if you can. Be aware that if you're using Palo Santo, some of that is pretty unethically sourced. So be aware of where you're getting it. Same with the sage. Be aware. And bad spirits occasionally, if so Titan asked, can bad spirits actually be doing the work of a curse? They can be. You can be cursed with negative energy. So in that case, you might need an exorcism of your place. So that's part of the reason why talking to someone who can kind of manage the whole spectrum. Not just your Catholic priest, because they're going to be pretty much two-dimensional. Can a curse... So Gemini asks, can a curse also be a contract that an ancestor perhaps did not know what they were agreeing to?
Gemini obviously missed the portal tonight.
I didn't actually listen to all of the portal because I had to deal with Mini-Me. But, yes. I feel that at one point our ancestors really didn't read very much. And so if they received, say, a telegram or something, someone had to read it to them. And you had to assume that you were getting a real, honest, message. So if you go to the bank because you need a loan for your house or for your farm or something, say 100 years ago, you didn't know how to read, the banker reads things to you. You assume, because that's all you can do, that they're being honest and straight up with you, and you put your mark on the paperwork, and they misrepresented what they were saying, or they lied to you, and so that is a possibility. If that's the case, I would want to talk to like someone like Deb, that can do the more ancestor work, or check with your guides more, or someone who with a similar skill set, because they can go back and check with your guides. Is this a result of
Right.
Um,
And Aussie says the portal was talking about jinns tonight. Yes, they were talking about jinns. Apparently, you missed that part too, Aussie. Bad Aussie. Now, what Al was talking about, and why I bring it up, is because, say, back in the day, your great grandpa, your great great grandpa, or your great great grandma, decided to call a jinn, or whatever you want to call that. You know, you had to watch the show tonight to see how it all connects, and they wanted it to do something for them. You know, like he used the idea of King Solomon and the demon that is purportedly a jinn, to build his temples. So say they made a pact with a jinn, and they didn't realize it, but something happened in that agreement between them and the jinn, and 3 generations later, that jinn is tormenting your grandchildren. So I would consider that to be in line with what we're talking about.
mhm.
So,
So yeah, if you think that is the case, you need to talk to somebody who can do that that spirit research with your ancestors. Someone like Deb or similar skill set, because you'll want to find out. It's like, hey, did you muck something up? Because if you did, now I gotta fix it. So in that respect, pay attention to what you're doing today. Are your grandkids gonna have to fix it later?
right.
So pay attention. So
And it's not exactly one of those things that, we pass. That's not that information we pass down. Oh, by the way, you may be cursed because your great-grandparents were screwing around one day and they forgot to close a portal and it released a jinn on the family.
exactly, or a negative energy,
A negative
or something
energy,
like that.
whatever that may be, yeah.
Divot box.
Divot boxes. They're Jewish holding. They're kind of like they're from Jewish mythology, and basically it's a demon or a negative spirit bound into a box that is marked with prayer sigils, sealed with wax, bound with rope. So
Okay, all I can think of is like an ossuary, but okay. You know what? A Dybbuk box. So the Jews are an ancient people, and I think they're a legit thing. I think it's an easy thing to mass produce in a fictional Harry Potter form, because they're
yes.
Because they can be kind of cool looking and such. But I think that yes, they could contain real negative energies or spirits. I'm so glad this thing is screwed together and doesn't just fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
Because gravity. So I wouldn't necessarily want one in my home.
No. And whether it can be verified as a real Dybbuk box or not. But yeah, I mean they can certainly be. They could certainly be real.
Yeah.
Just don't ask Zach Baggins.
Just like an ossuary could be haunted. So yeah, just some are just made in Hong Kong and some are legit.
I mean, but then again, that's things like that are sold online all day long. So
Mhm.
it
Right. So just be cautious. I don't know that I would ever buy one. I don't know that I need one ever sent to me.
no.
No. So yeah, if you feel that maybe you've been cursed, do a cleansing bath upon yourself. So basically, this could be just a regular bath. Set your intention prior to taking the bath. I would use sea salt for that cleansing, and just you're washing away that negative energy, just like washing your hands. If you've had to deal If you had to deal with an attorney, you get all done. I'm not saying attorneys are bad, but a stressful situation. We'll leave it at that. Wash your hands afterward because you're letting go of that negative energy and you're letting it go down the sink. So, once you've cleansed your space, maybe you need a protective ward. What's in that? Well, it kind of varies a little bit with what kind of a curse or thing that you're dealing with. So maybe we'll talk about wards next weekend.
And there's been a lot of people. Lucky mentioned something about wards. Alyssa mentioned candles, and other things that she does to keep them out. I know one thing that I know Naysay has talked about cedar boughs above your door sills, your door. You know what I mean.
Yep.
So those are all ways to keep negative energies out. What was Al saying?
So part of it depends upon your tradition.
Right.
Because
well, yeah, absolutely,
if you're very Christian, then crosses would make sense. If you're Jewish, the Star of David would make sense. For me personally, what do I have at my front door? I suppose Groot's at the front door.
well, he's at the entry.
Yeah, entry door, and then what's at the back door? Back door's baby chicks. Yes, Mini Me has got chicks this year. So I don't think there's anything really specific at the back door. There's the dragons with the umbrellas with the dragons on them. So I suppose those could be considered protective. But food dogs. So I'm pretty eclectic. So if I feel something's protective of my space, yes, I will have it in my space. Yeah, you can make a witch's bottle, a protective witch's bottle. And often the things that you might put in there, protective. What are you going to put in there? So tourmaline, amethyst, quartz, jet, hematite, fluorite, obsidian. Quartz is kind of a universal kind of a thing. So black salt, if you want to make black salt. I don't know that I'd put it in my light bulb, but yeah, black water in your mop water. Those are absolutely things you could do or have around. Let's see. You could wear an amulet, because that's something some people do. I often have crystals in my pockets, so I keep quartz, the snowflake obsidian, and the other two vary. Witch balls, those will work too. Basically, it's like a clear glass ornament, and you put things in there just like you would a witch bottle. Talk to your ancestors, the deities that you work with. Ask them to bless your home and yourself, and evoke their protection around your space. And you do a cord cutting ceremony, especially if it's something that may be a lineage type curse that you think maybe with a jinn. So yeah, do a cord cutting ceremony to cut that tie that has bound you to your ancestors. Because yeah, that's scary stuff, man. Let's see. A banishing ritual works. Spiritual protection barrier. I keep a chime next to Minnie Me's bed, and when I tuck her in at night, I just for luck I plink the chime every time. And it's one of those things that I feel compelled to do. It's like my OCD. I have to touch that blasted thing every night. And and there's all sorts of different things that you could say, when you're doing the cleansing, like, or, this is just a couple random chants that you could do. And I do recommend that you do your own and make it personal to you specifically. So in the names of my ancestors, my gods, and myself, I call upon thee, O creatures of earth and water. Come forth, cleanse, whomever it is, of all evil and alien magics, and restore them, or me or it, to balance and health, and by our wills combined, so mote it be. Whatever it is you're doing, once you've done the ritual or the thing, know that you've broken that curse and you've sent it and is gone, and move forward with a better mindset and a better, more positivity. If you think someone's wishing ill upon you and you want to send it back, you can also, basically, put a mirror under your pillow or under your bed with a quartz crystal on it, and that's kind of your return to sender. It'll take that curse or whatever that energy, negative energy is, and send it right back to the person who sent it to you. That's part of the reason why I'm a little hesitant with mirrors in general. I don't generally do mirror scrying because, not really my gig. I'll stick with my crystal ball things. That's close enough to Middle Earth.
Yes, that horn was on our end. We live next to a train track. We don't even notice it. Nope.
It's always there. But yeah, those protective crystals are real. And some people will have them on wind chimes, hang them in the window. Remember back in the 80s, 90s, people would have the cut glass or the crystal hanging, the pendant hanging from their rearview mirror, maybe in their house or something. Same kind of thing. Even my grandmother, who was about as devout Christian as possible, had these little brass-looking butterflies on suction cups in her kitchen window, and they had these little crystals in them, and so they would catch the light in the afternoon.
But they were pretty.
And have a prismatic effect throughout the kitchen. Yes, they were pretty. It's amazing. I look back and think, oh wow, grandma, you didn't even know. But yeah, binding a curse. You can do so. Like, Naysay says when you start rituals, there's nothing wrong with tweaking it as you continue, and on and on and on, because that's part of what makes it a ritual. But it needs to be personalized to you. And to your particular situation. It doesn't do you a whole lot of good to do a binding ceremony that has no effect to what you've got going on. You can do so. Another thing that you could do is like a decoy poppet. So if you make a poppet or a doll representative of yourself, for instance, and put it inside of a salt circle in your house, it'll create a protective circle around you. You just got to make sure it's linked to you, and I would protect.
Check your battery.
Yeah, my battery's fine. I don't know what the dealio is.
Check the connection on the board.
Yep, nothing's changed. Just the train went by.
Okay.
But yes, I could hear the static. So, poppets, magical dolls, yeah. Yes, Neil says if someone's perception of reality is being projected upon another, the receiver can choose to not accept the projector's version of reality. Not in a mean way, just simply choose not to accept it.
And that's exactly what I said a couple shows ago. It's like, your bad negative energy that you send to me, I just don't accept it. And you can just go ahead and keep it.
Absolutely.
And Lucky chimed in and said, "Well, that's good for you because you have that strong personality." And yeah, that's true. But that strong personality has been developed over a lifetime of negative crap coming my way. And it seems to work for me. I mean, that's, but then again, you've got to have a pretty strong, don't give a shit attitude about that kind of thing. Because I don't push my bad intentions on other people or my negative energy, and therefore I just won't accept it from anybody else. And that includes face to face. If you're giving me that, if you're giving me the stink eye, I just don't care. I'll just fly you a bird and walk away from you. So yeah, absolutely. Just don't accept the negative energy into your perception.
So exactly, that's part of the reason why I said earlier, if you are looking for negative energy, that is exactly what you will find. If you're looking for powerful or positive, powerful energy, that is what you will find. So you need to pay attention to that. Naysay asks about curses within voodoo dolls. Yes, they can be there. I don't know as much about voodoo, though, because that's not really my thing. And I would not just go buy a voodoo doll.
Yeah.
Kind of like I wouldn't go buy just crazy, a Dybbuk box or a haunted doll. There's some things I don't need to bring into my world. Now, my younger sister, the one that's local, her husband...
Both your sisters are younger.
Well, yes, I know. Yes, I'm the old one here. But the one that's local, she married someone who's from a local tribe. And he was doing some training out of state for his job. And he was down in the Southwest, and he picked up a Kachina doll. And I have to tell you, I never touched that Kachina doll. Nope, never. I could feel the energy on it. That was not for me to touch, wasn't my thing. And I could feel the energy. It's very protective of their space. And I bring this up specifically because, as we're talking about protection and everything, they had a really major house fire. It gutted their house. Completely gutted the house. And what didn't burn collapsed because there was so much water in the sheetrock that it was so heavy that it brought everything down. And I had just moved out a couple weeks prior because I had found an apartment. And the space where I had been sleeping, or my son had been sleeping, had received the most damage in the entire house. And as the firemen were there and the cleanup crew showed up and everything, because they were fully insured, they found the Kachina doll 100% still intact, even though it was in the kitchen, the hottest part of the fire. Seriously, it was probably 2 feet from the fire. And the only thing is the glue that had attached the hands to the doll itself had melted, so they had to reattach the hands. But they were just right there next to the doll, sitting on a ledge in the kitchen, and everything around it was totally destroyed. So she still has the Kachina doll. It's still in her kitchen in an entirely different house. But nope, that's not for me to touch. And it definitely protected them. It kept them from, dying in a fire or from smoke inhalation or anything like that. But yeah.
Kachina
doll.
Kitchen doll.
Mm-hmm.
A kitchen witch doll. Gotcha. I was like, what the hell is she saying?
Kachina doll. Yeah. So yeah, it's a pretty wild story, Gemini, and you could the energy. I mean, is palpable, very palpable. See the energy on it, and yeah, completely took care of the family, and they still have it. and they've moved around a fair bit since then, and they've had some other stuff go on, and yeah, no, it's, be aware of what you're bringing into your home, because it's a real thing, because some of those dolls and such, they do have energy and spirits trapped with them.
If they're legit made, then somebody made it for a specific reason, which means they imbued their energy into it and possibly bound something else along with it, good or bad, whatever the intent was, but they put intent into making it. So, it's got some,
it's got some energy there.
Yeah, it's got that power there.
So, yes, Titan, some curses can be just an attachment of bad spirits.
Right.
How can you tell the difference with an expert?
So, who were we talking to? Oh, it was on one of our podcasts. We were talking to someone, and he talked about how some alcoholics, people who spend a lot of time at bars.
Oh, it's a break.
Okay,
we'll
I'll try to
keep
remembering
when we come
that.
back, write it down. We'll be right back, you guys.
We will. Sisters of the shining moon, heaven, earth, and sea, I call upon you in this hour, bring magic unto me. Brothers, oh, the cauldron cries, it singeth unto me. Songs of Mother Goddess and the Father in the tree.
Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. So, Don had to step away for a moment, and so I had another little story I wanted to mention because Kim's story brought it to mind, and somebody I went to school with. He's kind of a dipshit. In a good way, a little naive perhaps. But anyways, he went off to college and met somebody, and anyways, I don't know how it happened, but somebody had this little statue and asked him what he thought of it, and because he had apparently commented on it when they was over visiting a couple times, and they were moving, and so his friend asked him if he wanted the figurine, and he's like, well, but that's yours. I mean, it's obviously on your altar, and obviously you think something of it, or else why would you have it where it's at? And it had obvious offerings around it and such, and candles. And he goes, well, here's the thing. There's a spirit that inhabits this figurine, and it will go willingly to someone if they accept it of their own free will. And so he, being the slightly naive individual that he was, said sure, and accepted it of his own free will and brought it home and just set it on a shelf, didn't think too much of it. And as the dust collected on the figurine, his luck got worse. And things started happening to him kind of negatively. And then more and more negatively. And he was grouching about it to his friend that had given him the figurine. And he's like, well, what did you do with this figurine? He goes, well, I just put it on a shelf and didn't think too much more about it. He goes, no, dude, you can't do that. It's going to kill you if you keep doing this. You have to do these things, and you have to apologize by doing this, this, and this. And one of those things was by giving it an offering of corn pollen, like from corn. So you had to have the pollen from the corn stalk. And he found this out in like December or January. So it's not like pollen is something that's, readily available. So he had to special order it in. And as soon as he put the offering up in front of the figurine and lit a couple candles and made an apology, all of his bad luck went away. Like that. And he didn't win the lottery or anything, but he won a bingo, and some other positive things happened. He got like a promotion or something like that. And but there was definitely an entity tied to this figurine, which as long as you kept the entity appeased and gave it an offering periodically, it was okay. But if you ignored it, then negative things would happen, and you can't just get rid of it. It's tied to the figurine, yes, but if you try to just like donate it or give it away or whatever, that entity then sticks with you rather than the figurine until you find someone who is willing to accept it with the burden that came with it to keep it happy. And so
Why would you take something like that?
Because he was an idiot.
Huh.
So
are we still talking about the same thing?
Yeah.
Before break? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I was talking about people, serious alcoholic people, like who get up in the morning and drink. And then when the bar opens, they're in there and they're drinking. And they sit there and they close the bar down drinking. And, people like this, addictive people who maybe addicted to drugs, maybe addicted to, who knows, sex, whatever. These could be, there are thoughts that these could be negative entities attaching themselves to you that are dragging your soul down. You know, it's weighing you down, and the only way you can even feel good is to partake in these things that this entity, you know, leads you to. You know, that there's a lot of people who say, you know, alcohol is called spirits because it's a spirit entering your body that turns you. You know, so there's a lot of things like that. So yeah, I mean, the negative energy entities can apparently attach themselves to somebody to appease something in themselves, or to, you know, reap enjoyment of the desecration of the person themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, negative energies and entities. Oh my goodness, my brain's going dead. Can attach to people like that, and sometimes it does. Addiction does feel like it has a life of its own. Yeah, Cameron, and it's probably because of this negative attachment. Now, that's not to say that, you know, people who smoke weed have a negative attachment. You know, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, they do these things because of a negative entity or a negative spirit, things like that, that are attached to the person. And who knows why it happens. You know, it may just be, you know, the person's biology and alcohol don't go together. So the person, when they started drinking, you know, they opened up their perceptions, they opened up themselves to this violation, and something just took advantage of it. You know, there are some people that believe that if you drink, you know, you lower those perceptions. So that's what I'm saying, is that is one idea. There's many different things, though. You know, chronic bad luck. I mean, not just like, you know, bad luck, but bad luck. You know,
Mm-hmm.
these could be right.
It could be a result.
It could be a result of a negative attachment.
Mm-hmm.
So
Very much so.
Yeah.
So, how to protect yourself is kind of what we're talking about. Yeah, you could have a talisman. You know,
Mhm.
like I often wear the raven skull or my opal. Those are kind of talismans, and you know, absolutely do something like that. A touchstone, if you will. Sometimes that helps. Yeah, sometimes drugs can act like a Ouija board and open doors. Yep.
Oh, you know, injuries can too. Like car accidents, things like that. They can open you up because of the drugs that are being used to take away your pain. Morphine, you know, whatever that is. You know, whatever it is that they're using, and so it could be it could be something that you're not conscious of, you know, that's happening, and that could also open your perceptions. So sorry.
Nope. It just, yeah, it's, you know, some people who are more sensitive often close themselves down and put up mental barriers or walls to prevent them from feeling those sensations.
Right.
And if they do take those drugs or whatever, because they have to at some point, they have to be a little bit more careful, because yeah, those boundaries do come down a little bit.
Right.
So yes, you can cleanse with salt also. Just put sea salts, you know, do a chant, you know, about cleansing your house, but put sea salts in every corner of the rooms. That one's pretty easy. And then, you know, let it be for a little bit, come back and vacuum it all up and take that negative energy out once it's soaked up.
You can take the salt outside and salt the perimeter around your house. Ever seen the Spiderwick Chronicles?
Just be careful with salting around your house if you have plants. Salt can kill plants.
It can kill your plants. But in the Spiderwick Chronicles, there was like a fairy ring around the house that was protecting the house from the
Mhm.
little bastards. Anyhow, so
So yeah, there's salt bowls. Sorry, that Midwestern accent coming out just a little bit. Bowls. Um, some people put a bowl with salt and different herbs in it in different parts of the house, and it'll soak up that negative energy. So yeah, whatever it is that is your touchstone to help you protect your home, yourself, that kind of thing. Um, and a lot of it is setting your intention prior to doing. Because if you just throw some salt on your floor and say, "Oh, this should fix it," but I don't believe in this stuff anyways.
right.
You've just wasted salt.
You just thrown salt over your shoulder and
Yeah,
hoped it
so
works.
and Cameron was talking about in chat. He keeps a penny in his pocket because
Right.
the coronavirus apparently doesn't live on copper. Um, and somebody asked if it works. He goes, "Well, I don't know, but I feel better
Right.
having it in my pocket." So in that respect, it's a physical representation of a mental state. You ever notice how people who say, "Oh, I get sick every year. Every spring I get sick. I'm
And
gonna
they get sick every
and
year.
they do. And then they say, and someone's person that sits right next to him breathes the same air, eats the same food, that same kind of thing. I never get sick. I don't do anything. I don't get the shot or anything. I never get sick. And you know what? They don't ever get sick. It's because of that mental headspace that they've already prepared themselves for. So they've already put those mental barriers up to prevent or block that illness. Now, that's not saying that they can't get sick, because they could, because things happen. Viruses happen, bacteria happens, food poisoning happens. But often those same people will not be as sick as long as the person sitting next to them.
Well, that's like me. It goes back to that same thing I talk about, negative energy, people trying to pass off negative energy. I don't ever tell myself I'm getting sick. I that's not to say I don't get sick. I just don't think myself into being sick. We speak ourselves into our reality. And that is to say that if you say bad stuff's going to happen, bad stuff's going to happen. If you say I'm going to get sick, you're going to get sick. If you say I'm going to be positive, if you do your daily affirmations, whatever that may be, then you will have those affirmations will come. We speak ourselves into our reality, and so yeah. Well, there you go. It's the vibrations.
Yes. Yeah, the vibrations. What you put out there is what you receive. So, I think Titan or somebody asked, or mentioned something about the curses coming back or being returned to sender. So, in a way, those who are putting out that negative energy and doing that cursing and such, I believe that they are more likely to be the recipient of a curse, mostly because they are already putting that energy out there. They're already looking for that energy signature, if you will, or
Right.
that
Yeah,
activity.
like attracts like.
Like attracts like. So, and that's why, some of those self-help books, they say you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Apparently, I'm a toddler. But same kind of thing, if you want better things in your world, hang out with better people. If you want to, what?
Lucky says, sick to me is when I'm ill enough to be prevented from having a normal day. Yes. Sniffles and sneezes is not sick. Yes, I absolutely agree. If I eat something bad and have poops, it is not sick. I am 100,000% behind that statement.
Yeah, you have poops. Hopefully we all have poops. But not lots of poops.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
nope,
sorry
that's
to-
fine. No, that's good. But seriously, for me, sniffles are kind of a normal thing for me because apparently I'm allergic to pine tree pollen. And I live in North Idaho. Yes, I know. But, you know, you are the sum of the energy that you spend the most time with.
Yep.
So if you spend most of your time with angry, bitter people,
You'll be an angry, bitter person.
odds are good that even though you try to be as positive as you can be, your positivity is strained. It's hard for you to hang on to it.
See, but that's also is the same idea of, I try to be good to all these people and I try to do nice things and okay, but it's not just you. I'm not on camera, so this is not doing anything. It's not necessarily what you put out there. It's how people perceive it.
Mm-hmm.
You can be the nicest person in the world, but can't say a damn thing the right way, and it pisses people off. Or it strikes people wrong, or they just think you're an odd duck. Oh yeah, that person's nice. Yeah, they're all right. But you're trying. But it's because it may not be your approach, it may not be your delivery, it may be the way you're being perceived.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's not really your problem because their perception is not your problem. However, you can do things to change how they perceive you. But those are things that you would have to be a little more intimate with the person about. You'd have to be better friends or develop a relationship or whatever that is. So that's 2 cents.
No, yes. So I'm originally from the Midwest, and my family has a tendency to give these things to you and tell you how to use them also. So here's $20. Go buy yourself some chocolate. It's like, but as much as I love chocolate, I want to keep my phone on, so I'm going to take that $20 bill, I'm going to put it on my phone bill because that's where I need it. So the help that someone is offering may not be the help that is really needed.
Needed, yeah.
So that may be why you're not being as received as well. Perhaps, or maybe you are offering what is needed, but in a way that the recipient doesn't understand. So maybe your education level is different, and so the way you speak is different. So Titan asks, can animals or pets ward off curses like elements, or at least help with them? And so on this one, yes, I think so. Not all animals, though. Not all pets. I think cats actually are.
You mean my pet raccoon can't?
Your pet raccoon's gonna bring something shiny home and stab you with it. No, but like cats, for instance, are often considered to be the guardians of the dead or guardians of the gates to the afterlife, and I think that they can help. If an animal is more of a familiar and less of a pet, then yes. But animal spirits, yes. I think they can definitely help protect you. Dogs love you. And I think dogs may... And I'm just using a little bit of anthropomorphism here, but I think dogs would sacrifice themselves prior to allowing that hurt to come to you. Cats would say, "Hey, dude, there's something bad coming. You better fix it. I'm gonna pee on your clothes." And so it really it depends. But just like canaries used to go down into the mines with the miners to check for stale air and such, I think yes, our pets and our animals can sense things that we just don't, because they see and feel an energy field that we just don't have access to. Um, at a knowledgeable level, we may intuit it, or with training, may be able to perceive it, but they already exist there. So, let's see. Am I missing anything in the chat?
Neil says, I'm totally that odd duck. However, I keep in mind that someone generally needs to hear a thing 3 times before they truly entertain it. I'm often the first person to say a thing, and those first and second persons are almost never remembered and seldom thanked. Yeah, I'm right there. I mean, there are people that I can just really quickly get along with, but I piss off more people than I don't, you know. And that's just because they don't know how to take me a lot of the time, and that's probably why I excel at these weird shows.
You're wearing a death metal T-shirt.
That's well no, this is Danzig. It's not death metal.
I actually can't tell. Your beard's in the way.
It's
okay,
horror.
Danzig.
It's horror.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, he also has, supposed demonic ties. But
So yeah, your music is weird. So, anyways, yeah, and it's just pets can sense things that we cannot. So yeah, they can tip you off. You ever notice that sometimes your dog just does not like someone, or your cat just does not like someone? That's real.
I had a roommate that my cat kept peeing on while he was asleep. The dude was all right. He was just goofy as hell.
Okay, that's a sign.
My phone just went dead.
Yeah. That's a sign that you probably needed a different roommate.
No, he was a good guy. It's just the cat just didn't like him. I just thought it was funny. Dude, your cat pissed on me again. I'm like, what'd you do?
Oh gosh. I can't even. That explains so much about one of my cats.
Yes. Yes, I believe so. I believe cats, and especially if you have real attachments to them, they're more familiar. So
yeah, they're more familiar, but keep in mind, a pet is not necessarily a familiar.
True, yes.
And I'll probably talk about that at some point here in the next couple weeks or months.
Time.
Yeah, I am, because I watch the Reddit threads or the Twitter threads or whatever, and
Twitless threads.
And it's like, that's your cat. That's not your familiar. Why do you have a pony in your house? It's not a familiar. It is a pony. It's something a little different. And that connection is a little different. There's like Bomber's talking about old man cat. It's a different connection. I mean, I have a cat. Her name's Drama. She is not a familiar. She is a cat.
She is a cat.
She likes you if you have catnip. Or if you're trying to sleep, she'll fluff you up and purr and then drool. But that's not. She does. She just drools, and it's like, why? Why am I wet? What is going on here? So, anyways, yeah, unicorn. I have a unicorn. Sure. So be aware. Your pets can help you, guard you and protect you, because yes, they're your family more than anything. Cleansing your space, very important. Sage it periodically. When you clean house, take out the dirt. Don't leave it there. If you own something that you feel has a really negative emotion to it or sensation to it, don't keep it. You don't have to. Or if you feel you do, put put it in a cabinet and circle it with salt and bind it inside the salt circle.
Kind of like the Annabelle doll.
Yeah. So, it just, pay attention to your space, protect yourself. If you feel you've been cursed, ask yourself, is this something that could have happened to me by any other means? Or is it something that really came to me by chance, by no doing of myself, and that it's not an illness or something, because illness happens, unfortunately. Yeah, it's not my music, Elisa. I'm sorry. I prefer jazz, I suppose. She's laughing because I don't like your music.
Oh yeah, she was telling me she was in a band. I believe that was her. Yeah.
Yeah. No, we don't listen to quite the same music. No. So yeah. Send me an email. It's wildepaisley@gmail.com. That's wildepaisley@gmail.com. I will probably send you an email at some point, or send you a thank you, or give you a shout out on the radio. So thank you for sending the emails. Aussie, I'll send you a message. And so merry meet, merry part, and merry meet again. And we will see you guys next time.
Bye.
Next week. Have a great week. Stay safe. Wash your hands.
Never